So, a few videos back, I made a video on the two Mets-Willets Point stations of the LIRR and the IRT of the 7 train on the New York City subway. However, this isn't the only instance where it happens. In fact, there are actually a few places around New York City in which the New York City subway and the Long Island Railroad have stations in the same general area. In Jamaica, the E, J, and Z and the Long Island Railroad have station connections between Suffolk Boulevard, Archer Avenue, JFK Airport stations, and Jamaica Station. However, both the New York City subway and the LIRR have some pretty interesting history in Jamaica, which starts in the 19th century. So, since I started with the New York City subway in my video about Mets-Willets Point, I figured that I would start with the LIRR in this video. Even before the current Jamaica hub was built, there used to be two stations in this vicinity. The first one was built for the LIRR in 1836 as Old Jamaica, and it was intended to be the terminus of the LIRR for the time being. It was remodeled in 1869 and in 1872, and then it was completely rebuilt between 1882 and 1883, adjacent to the original location. Unfortunately, it was razed by a fire in 1912 in preparation of the Grand Elimination Project, which was a plan to get rid of street-level railways in New York and elevate them onto trestles. The location of where Old Jamaica Station once was is at around 153rd Street Station and Archer Avenue, but sadly there aren't any remnants of it today. Now, the second original Jamaica Station was opened as Jamaica Beaver Street on October 28, 1867, on the South Side Railroad of Long Island, which is now the present-day Atlantic Branch. It was raised in 1871 and replaced on Christmas Day of the same year. When the railroad was bought by the LIRR in 1867, its depot was moved south to Beaver Street. From 1908 to 1913, the station was listed as Jamaica with Beaver Street in parentheses. However, it was eventually raised in 1913 because of the Great Elimination Project. Its location would have been at Beaver Street, but obviously, there are no more traces of it today. The elevation of the railroad track necessitated a new Jamaica station. So, American architect Kenneth M. Murchison was brought on to design a station that we are all familiar with today. Between 1912 and 1913, the station was being constructed as the final railroads were being amalgamated into the LIRR to become various branch lines. Also during this time, Hall Interlocking was built to the east, and J Interlocking was built to the west. You can see where those two interlockings are if you look on Google Earth. They of course both serve the purpose of connecting different LIRR branch lines. When the modern Jamaica Station opened in 1913, people weren't too happy about its location on Suffolk Boulevard and Archer Avenue because it wasn't really in downtown Jamaica. So, the LIRR decided to open another station about half a mile to the east called Union Hall Street Station in 1913. Unfortunately, it was eventually closed on May 20th, 1977, and its location would have been at Archer Avenue and Union Hall Street. In fact, as you're on an LIRR train heading towards Jamaica, look right to see a remnant of the old platform and the space where the rest of it would have been at. On November 15, 1917, yet another station opened in close proximity to Jamaica Station, South Street Station. However, due to its close proximity to Jamaica Station, it was eventually abandoned in June of 1922. The station was located around Liberty Avenue, between 157th Street and 158th Street, but there are no remnants of it today. Nothing really changed for the next few decades in the 20th century, until there were some renovations. In 1994, Jamaica Station went under a $209 million project to add new elevators, staircases, tracks, and a pedestrian overpass at the eastern end of the station, and to overhaul platforms. There would also be two new connections to the Archer Avenue line of the New York City subway at Suffolk Boulevard Station. From 2001 to 2006, there was yet another renovation project, which cost $287 million to complete. This would be concurrent to the opening of the JFK Airport's air train in 2004, which would have its own station at Jamaica, adjacent to the LIRR station. As part of the renovation, there would also be a glass roof over the platforms at the station. In preparation for the opening of the East Side Access in late 2022, Platform F was built, with tracks 11 and 12 being added to the actual station itself. This platform cost $289 million, and it opened in February of 2020, after it was supposed to be completed in 2019. There is also another proposal improvement project for Jamaica Station, which will cost over $1 billion, and it's possibly slated to start this year. Okay, so now moving on to the history of the New York City subway in Jamaica. On May 30th, 1893, the Brooklyn Elevated Railroad, later known as the BMT's Jamaica line of the J and Z trains, extended to Cypress Hill Station, near the Queens-Brooklyn border. Then, on July 30th, 1918, service was extended once again along Jamaica Avenue to 168th Street Station in downtown Jamaica. This particular extension, especially the last few stations on it, will be important later. On December 31st, 1936, the IND's Queens Boulevard line was extended from Jackson Heights Roosevelt Avenue to Kew Gardens Union Turnpike. On April 24th, 1937, the line was extended once more to 169th Street Station, with express service beginning on the line. It wasn't until December 11th, 1950, when the final station opened in 179th Street in Jamaica, when the Queens Boulevard line was finally completed. So this was the second subway line to be in Jamaica, and it would be the first ever underground train station in this vicinity as well. The final subway line in Jamaica is the Archer Avenue line, which was originally proposed in the IND second system in the 1920s and the 1930s. The route was originally supposed to head south of Brightwood Station to run under the Vanway Expressway until Rockaway Boulevard near JFK Airport. In fact, there are even tunnel provisions if an extension is ever greenlit. However, as with all the other plans for the second system, none of them became a reality. And so plans for the Archer Avenue line became dormant until the 1960s when the MTA revived it in the program for action. This new proposal would take the subway line along the LIRR's Atlantic branch to Low-Cost Manor Station. The Archer Avenue line would also serve the purpose of replacing the elevated line in Jamaica. And, if you remember from earlier in this video, it's the Jamaica Avenue elevated of the J and Z trains. It would eventually be demolished in 2 stages, with the portion from Stoughton Boulevard to 168th Street being abandoned in September of 1977, and the section from 121st Street to Queens Boulevard was abandoned on April 15, 1985. However, you can still see a remnant of the abandoned elevated portion if you're on the intersection of Jamaica Avenue and 165th Street. If you look up, you can still see the old train tower for 168th Street Station, which was the original terminus of the elevated line. The Jamaican line would temporarily terminate at 121st Street Station before it was extended underground. Finally, on December 11, 1988, the Archer Avenue line opened, with the project being 5 times its original budget, and was cut back by 2 miles. I say that because the line would not go all the way to Low-Cost Manor, alongside the LIRR. Instead, it went as far as Parsons Boulevard and Archer Avenue at Jamaica Center Station. However, at the E-train platforms at Jamaica Center, the tunnel actually continues further and curves south for a bit, a clear provision for the extension. Okay, so that concludes today's video on the different train stations in Jamaica, and each of their histories. My next video will be something different, but I think you'll still enjoy it. If you enjoyed this video, then consider subscribing to the channel and liking this video. I'll see you next time.